No one here is
Are you
being
acting
impinged on
right
anything.
now? Do you
I'm,
really
I'm, I'm
believe
telling the
this?
truth. There's no systemic racism that I've experienced here in America. What system is racist?
And we have equal opportunity in this country. We had a black president, just in case you didn't know. We had a black president and we had a black vice president. I mean, I think she was black. They said she was black. I don't know.
I got a great video for you guys today. This is one black radical versus 20 black conservatives. There's a lot of crazy stuff said in this video. It's very entertaining, and I'm just going to go jump right into it and start reacting to it. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment down below.
Claim is it is undeniable that reparations are just and necessary.
All right, reparations, fair, necessary. My question would be, who's going to get it? Why would they get it? And how long are we going to sit here focusing on trying to get reparations? It's been how many years since slavery? 150 years, 1865? Whenever there's a real thing that this country wants to do, they do it. Stop Asian hate. Okay, there's a problem with the Asian hate. Let's draft a bill, sign it, and it's done. Anything that needs to be done is done. With us, it's a carrot they dangle in front of us that they don't really want to do. And it's not going to help. We need education. Oh, it's not going to help. No, it's not. We need education. Getting a check from the government is not going to do that. And we need proper education. A lot of us go to these institutions where we're not really prepared, we're not really focused, and we don't get things that'll help us in the real world. So if you want to help black people, a check from the government, from our tax dollars is going to get raised, because let's be clear, everybody in here is black. We all American, we all got to pay taxes. It'll go to that. So I don't really see how this is going to help us at all.
Okay. Well, first I'll start with it will help on even just a moral level. The reality is that the United States has become very comfortable with the fact that it does not consider black people equal. And it shows that in many ways that I'm sure we will discuss over the course of today. But ultimately, there has not.
I love people like this. She says, America doesn't see black people as equal. Last time I checked, we had a black president serve for 2 terms. We just had a black VP serve for a term. If people didn't see them as equal, how would that even be possible?
Been a committed, concerted effort to shifting the mindset around the use of black people as a labor force in this nation. Back when it was slavery, now in the use of slavery as slave labor in prisons. So on a basic cultural level, reparations are an act of repair. They are an effort to say, our bad, we see you now. We have seen that done with Japanese folks who were put in internment camps. We have seen that done with Jewish folks. We have seen that done even in the case of slave owners who received reparations. When it comes to the use of tax dollars to pay reparations, and this is going to come up a lot today, it's a matter of values, right? For me, my value system circulates around the fact that I think that as a community, we should all be engaged in repair for our community. So I don't think there should be any problem with there being tax dollars spent at repairing consistent efforts that have been made to impede black people. So the reparations you're talking about are not just related to slavery. There's reparations that have been discussed all over this nation in different communities as it relates to particular massacres, as it relates to redlining and the impediment of black people to earn wealth by having property. There's been impediments in various ways that can be repaired. And I want to also just add, there's reparations that are considered a cash payment from a government. There's also the version of reparations that shows up in how funds are applicated to specific groups of people. So there's multiple ways in which what you're stating cannot happen could very well happen.
Okay.
So first thing, she gave these examples of reparations to like Japanese people in the internment camps, the Holocaust survivors in Germany, stuff like this. Those reparations were given to people that were actually involved in those situations. Those people, a lot of those people were still alive when those reparations happened. No one from slavery is alive right now. Giving them to descendants, which I don't even know how you go about finding descendants. Like a lot of us can't even trace our lineage back past our great grandparents. Like personally, I don't know anybody in my family born before the 1900s. I know the general areas they lived in, but I don't know anything before that. And same with black people. It's going to be the same way. So you can't, like, are you just going to blindly give it to any black person? Like, what happens if their family came over after slavery? Do they get reparations? Does someone like LeBron James, who's a billionaire, get reparations? Like, these are questions they can never answer. And it's going to be so hard to trace this lineage back. And then what happens if these people who are descendants of slaves are successful now, that kind of just breaks their whole narrative. Because that's what a lot of these conservatives are saying here is like, we don't need this. We can be successful on their own. This doesn't matter. And it's 2025. Black people can own property. Black people can work and get good paying jobs. They can support their families. A lot of them just choose not to. So to sit here and be like, oh, reparations are just so necessary. They're needed. All these different things. They're not. What happened with slavery sucked. Like what people went through during that time sucks. I don't think anybody's like, oh my God, it was such a great thing. No, it was a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing what the Americans did back then. But no one alive did that. No one alive put people through that. So like he said, you're going to use our tax dollars to pay for this stuff. That it's stupid. And like a lot of times too, like if you see it with like athletes or lottery winners, you can give people money, but they're going to blow through it. A lot of them still go broke and go bankrupt. Like 1 in 6 athletes go bankrupt when they're millionaires. You know, like he said, you need education. You need to figure out how to be independent. You need to do these different things. Those will help the Black community more.
Now, as far as the money going towards certain things is going to help us, let's look at Baltimore public schools. They get, I think, the 3rd most money per pupil in the US of A, like $15,000.
I can attest that I live in Maryland, close to Baltimore. They get a lot of money, and most of their students just, they're not smart. They can't read, they can't write. And we live in a society now where, at least it's like in Maryland, I don't know if it's like this in other states, I don't know if it's a national thing. You can get passed on to the next grade if you're too old. I had a guy that lived in my neighborhood who kept failing 8th grade. And it got to the point where he was 16 in 8th grade. So because he was 16, they just pushed him to the next grade, even though he still got straight Fs. He didn't do anything. They just pushed him to the next grade. This happens with high schoolers too. There's 19, 20-year-olds that were just failing, but they kept pushing them through, and then they graduate them. This is what Baltimore City does. And like he said, the note says right here, spends $18,000 per student, the 13th highest of the nation's 100 largest districts. That is insane. Despite the spending, only 16% of 8th graders read at above national standards, only 13% of 4th graders. The math is even worse, I'm pretty sure. Like these kids, and there's a bunch of issues with this, but the point is money doesn't solve this issue. This is the thing the left likes to do. They like to say, oh, this needs more funding. This needs more funding. You can throw all the money at these things, but it doesn't solve the teachers not doing well. It doesn't solve parents being involved. 75% of Black kids grow up without a dad. It doesn't solve the culture issue that's in the Black community where they're always like gangbanging and drug dealing and all that stuff. It doesn't solve any of that stuff. So that stuff needs to be taken care of first before you just blindly throw more money at a school system. And I also can go on a rant about how bad teachers unions are too.
Per student, but yet the majority of the population that comes from that environment can't read. They're illiterate. So we're dumping money on the situation, yes, but yet we're not getting the results we should get from it. Money's not going to help the thing. We need to just focus on what we need to focus on. As far as Black people being labor force of this country, what else are we doing? We got 25% of us on some kind of government assistance. 1 out of every 3 Black men will go to jail. We got to do something. We got to work with our hands, work with tools, do something, because we're not doing much of anything. And also, one more piece here. Reparations, again, always anchored in front of us, never going to happen. As long as you've been living, as long as I've been living, as long as everybody been living, they say we need it, and it never gets done. One more piece.
You just said one more piece, then you're adding another one.
I promise.
So hold on to it. No, hold on to it.
I'm gonna land the plane. I'm gonna land the plane. I promise. Reparations is a thing. Like I said, it's a carrot that dangle in front of us. They're never really going to get it done. And if it was going to get done, it would have already been done. It's just something that they're using to try and make us stay Democrat. That's what I wanted to say.
Well, Democrats are not doing reparations either.
They're not.
This is nonpartisan. This is Black partisan, baby. Okay, well, this is nonpartisan.
Who do we vote for? Who do we vote for 93% of the time? There's no incentive.
To be quite honest, you're not talking to a Democrat. You're talking to a radical.
Okay, but let's
land this plane very quickly.
Who do we vote for?
Let's land this plane quickly.
Who do we vote for?
You're talking to a radical, not a Democrat.
Okay, and you are your own person.
Let me tell you something now. I don't know what they told you, but if they told you that cutting me off is how we're going to get clicks, stop it now.
Oh, no.
That's not how we're going to. That's not how we're going to enter.
We having a debate.
A debate does not require continuously cutting somebody off.
Okay, no problem.
Now I do want to state this. You're stating things as it relates to how money is not fixing a problem without acknowledging the fact that the problem doesn't exist in a vacuum and that there are so many other factors that are determining how that money is getting spent to impede it from actually fixing a problem. You can put all the money into Baltimore public schools you want, but if you are also putting all this money into policing, into communities that are not getting resources, then you are also creating your own conundrum. The other part of this is that when you're saying they, the they is a broad context. And the last part of this that I will say is that you keep saying they're dangling this in our face, they're dangling in our face. Slavery lasted for 400 years. It hasn't even been 400 years since slavery. So should we be only fighting for a quarter of the time to get repair?
All right, I'm so sorry.
Also, slavery did not exist for 400 years. That would imply that we were having slaves in America in like the 1450s, which we didn't even colonize over here yet. It was more like 250 years. I don't know where the 400 years number comes from. I guess it just sounds better, sounds more extreme. But the thing that they all don't talk about either, slavery still exists in the world. Africa still has slaves. The Chinese have slaves. Like, it still exists. And the reason we even got slaves to begin with over here, because they were sold from Africans. They don't talk about that stuff. So you can sit here and be like, we need this, we need that. And the fact that it's been, 160, if you want to even go civil rights. So civil rights, they're still separated, but they still could do stuff, right? So it's been 160 years since slavery, and black people are still struggling. It's been about 60 years since civil rights. Black people are still struggling. Like, what helped? Conservatives want them to be equal. And these black conservatives see that. And these black conservatives are successful. But people like her want to be victims. They want to be like, we need more help. We need this. We need that to be successful. You have all the resources right now to be successful. You can do it.
You've been voted out by the majority.
All right.
Please return to your seat.
Okay.
My name is Matt Nuclear.
Hello,
I
Matt.
appreciate
Matt
sharing-
Nuclear?
Matt Nuclear, yes.
Matt Nuclear, give me a better handshake than that. Let's
Thank
do
you.
it.
I
All right.
appreciate having this conversation with a beautiful black woman like yourself. This is nice, beautiful arena here. I disagree that reparations are necessary. I think the most important thing that's necessary right now for the black community would be the stopping of violence, especially black on black violence. I don't see how reparations is going to solve anything. You can give everyone here like a $50,000 check.
You see, before cutting him off, you see that reaction there? That's black on black violence is a serious thing that the media doesn't talk about enough. They hide it. And she's just acting like it's no big deal.
Especially people that are in the streets who are committing violent crimes consistently, a $50,000 check, it's not going to fix anything. It's not going to increase the median household income in the next 10 years by 10% or 20%. For example, we had the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. We prevented Chinese people from getting citizenship and even entering the country. We discriminated against them and basically put them under apartheid, even here in the United States. Yet they have the highest median household income. How is that possible? How come they don't complain and feel entitled consistently to beg for reparations and beg for this when they are killing each other 90% of the time, which is the rate that black people kill each other, according to the FBI?
Oh, young Matt.
Yet white people are the oppressors.
I'm not sure where your education came from, but they lied to you.
Stats don't lie, though.
Statistics lie all the time.
Yeah, I forgot since Trump took over, we don't trust the FBI anymore. We did until January 2025. Now we don't.
So let's start there, particularly when the statistics are coming from the sources that gain from the statistics being shown a different way. So if you're going to start your argument on stats don't lie, you've already lost the argument. They lie. They lie all the time. One, comparing Chinese people who are immigrants that made a choice to come to the United States and comparing the continued effort of black people to ground themselves in a nation that continues to make impediments for them to show and live and exist in their true citizenship is a false equivalency.
I don't believe that happens at all. No one here is in.
Are you
being
acting
impinged on
right now?
anything.
Do you really believe
I'm telling
this?
the truth. There's no systemic racism that I've experienced here in America. What system is racist? I think the only racism we've actually seen recently, systemic racism that we've seen, is the application of systemic racism against white people. The University of Western Washington, for example, has been trying to segregate dormitories, using black-only dormitories because black people feel safer amongst each other. But they're more likely to kill each other than white people are ever to kill them. That's just the truth. You have King Von rapping about killing other black men. Why should I think that the white man is the oppressor when black men are more likely to kill me?
Oh my
Tell
God.
me.
I want to pull up talk about the school thing real quick. This is something a lot of colleges have done, like Harvard and a couple others. They'll do black only dormitories, black only graduations, all this stuff. They're literally reintroducing segregation. And this is like, these are liberal institutions. They're reintroducing segregation, but then they try to call conservatives racist. It makes no sense.
This is scary. You need to think about me as your mama. Do not talk to me in that fashion. So let's check that now.
Okay.
Okay. So on a basic level, we have to understand that systemic racism is grounded in the realities that Black people have not been considered an equal human being in this country since its onset. So there's simply no way to make the argument that there isn't systemic racism, and we have seen in very clear ways the system operate in an organically racist way. Do not cut me off. When we talk about systemic racism, we can start with even the fact that redlining, which was implemented to discriminate Black communities. Are you shaking your head that redlining doesn't exist?
No, I'm saying I don't think it really existed at all. I mean, no, I don't think so at all.
So it does exist, and stating that it doesn't exist doesn't make it no longer exist. Redlining absolutely exists. It is not something that's being made up. It's an empirical fact, and there are realities that exist because of redlining. We know that school systems are related to the way that property taxes are affecting the school systems. If a school system is not getting the same property value as the property taxes allow it, then it's not going to have the same efficacy.
You know, what's interesting about this is, so me and my fiance own a home, so we know about property taxes going to schools and everything like that. And I can go on a whole rant about how that's annoying, but the whole thing with this is like, they're saying basically the property taxes in your area go to your local schools, right? So if you live in a poorer area, your schools are gonna have less funding. If you have a richer area, your schools have more funding, which makes sense, because if your money is going towards that thing, why should, say I live in like a rural area, but say I live in somewhere like Montgomery County, Maryland, which is outside DC, very rich, right? Why should their tax dollars they're paying on their property go towards Baltimore City? That's lower value. Why? How does that make sense? This makes more sense for it to go local. And they're saying their lower home values means less property taxes. Honestly, lower home values is honestly better if you're not moving or planning on moving, because it means it's less taxes you're paying. And like, imagine in these poor communities, all of a sudden their value skyrocketed and they're starting to pay like double the property tax. They wouldn't be able to afford it. And then that would be a whole different issue that they'd be complaining about.
At allowing for students to be able to get what they deserve. When we talk about systemic racism, we have to acknowledge that these private prisons are literally built based on the test scores of school students in 3rd grade. So if you are literally building prisons with the onset of, okay, if these people are not reaching a certain reading level, then we know that they're going to go down a prison industrial pipeline, or we can use their free labor. Then how is that not systemic? And if you want to
stop them from entering prisons.
How are you going to stop people from entering prisons if your goal is to get them into prison?
Sure, make them try to be more like Ben Carson than be like King Von. That's very, very simple.
So how does King Von happen? How does King Von happen?
King Von
reparations. Actually, no, let me land the plane. Yeah. We're talking about reparations, and what you're doing is actually just trying to get this conversation off the facts. And the fact is, reparations.
This little thing here, she's saying like, oh, the people are building this around to get people into prison. So basically, she's saying the teachers and the teachers unions, all of this are, I guess, in on it too. And you could say if you have issues with the prison system or whatever, that's a whole different thing. But the thing is, like, the prisons exist because criminals exist. The more prisons the more criminals there are, the more prison space you need. That's just how it works. So if you know there's a high crime area like Baltimore City, you're going to need a prison around there. Common sense.
Are just and necessary because on a basic level, Black people built this country, and the country continues to thrive off of the labor that Black people put into this country. And it would behoove you, young man, to really understand the way that your ancestors put blood, sweat, and tears into this nation that is still living off of those blood, sweat, and tears. And let me also add, there are reparations and then there is remunerations. Do you know the difference?
Yes, but can I finish one point that I wanted to say?
Question.
Ben Carson's cousins were killed at a very young age.
I'm so sorry.
I want to talk about this thing he was mentioning. So if you guys don't know, Ben Carson is a Black man. He ran for president in 2016 against Trump and Ted Cruz, all of them. He's a neurosurgeon. And I'm pretty sure he is the first person that was ever able to split conjoined twins like apart that were connected by the brain. I think he was the first person ever to do that. He is a very, very smart guy. And he is someone that the whole Black community should look up to. But you know what happened in 2016 when he ran for president as a Republican? all these black people started calling him like an Uncle Tom and talking down on him instead of looking up to him like a role model. And then he said King Von, someone black people look up to, as a murderer. He literally was known in his area, I think he's from Chicago, for killing people all the time. Like, he's well known for that. So that's the people they want to look up to. But then people like Ben Carson, who's a good example, they talk down on. That's the issue right there. And she wants to act like that's nothing.
Voted out by the majority.
Okay.
Please return to your seat.
I hope some of y'all are acting. I really do. I really, we in LA, and I hope some people in here are acting. Oh, what's that on your chain?
This is a coin from Israel.
Lord have mercy.
Yes, you gotta go.
That's a choice that you are making for yourself.
Yes. The thing with the whole reparations thing, and I don't know, we're probably close to the same age, so maybe you can't call me
How old are
mom.
you?
I'm 32.
I am 44.
Oh, really? Oh, you look young.
Thank you. That's what water and keeping stress out of your life will do.
Really? Liberal positions are real stressful.
By the way, I wouldn't know. I'm not a liberal. Carry on.
Well, it's the liberal position because conservatives believe in hard work. We believe in going to work and working for what you got,
Yep.
not asking for handouts
Right.
from people who never had slaves. Some of the people that you're asking for money from never had slaves. And
Okay.
let's talk about the fact there were also black people that had slaves. So if you want to talk about that, how is that fair? If I'm a white person and my family fought on the side of the Union, why should I have to pay for slaves when this whole country was never all racist? Some of the founding fathers were abolitionists, and they hated slavery. And they actually put things in the Declaration of Independence and things too, because they believed that there'll be a future where there would be a black president one day, or that there would be people in leadership that were black. There was people in the North who helped with the Underground Railroad and fought with the Union. So why is that fair for people who never had slaves, who fought against slavery, to have to pay for people that had slaves?
One.
I wanted to say something interesting about this. He's saying the black slave owners. That's something no one talks about. And I didn't realize how high it was until I watched this. It said 3,700 black people back then owned slaves. I didn't think it was that high. I knew there's a few of them that were like rich black people and stuff like that. But that really shows that it wasn't a race thing. You know, like they went to the Europeans went to Africa. They had the slaves sold to them by Africans, brought them to America, and then free black people owned those Africans. So it's not a race thing. That's just how they just found slaves in an area. Like in Egyptian times, I'm pretty sure Jews were slaves. In like Mongolian times, like Genghis Khan took in slaves from all these places he conquered. Like slavery is not just race-based. Like every kind of person or every race and everything has been slaves at some point in time. So to make it a race thing it's just not true. And that's something that I think does not get talked about enough.
And from my understanding, you are more interested in preserving the fairness of those who didn't have slaves than the fairness of those who are the descendants of slaves. That is priority to you than finding a fair way to accommodate those who have been the descendant of slaves.
Well, our ancestors wasn't asking for handouts. They were asking for equal opportunity. And we have equal opportunity in this country. We had a black president, just in case you didn't know. We had a black president and we had a black vice president. I think she was black. They said she was black. I don't know. So we had a black president, and you know who voted for that black man? White people, because you can't win a popular election in this country without white people. So Barack Obama is the product of white people. So let's get off this thing where, oh, America is so racist. What's making America so racist is people that continue to talk about racism and continue to focus on racism instead of focusing on unity and bringing our country forward. People that have these liberal mindset are infecting our communities, black people, and making making us victims and not victors. I refuse to embrace a victim mentality because that's not what our grandparents and Harriet Tubman and those people fought for. They fought for
Do
equal
not bring up
opportunity.
Harriet Tubman's name in vain, baby. Please.
They said the
Harriet
Lord's
Tubman,
name in vain.
Harriet
The
Tubman,
Lord's name.
Harriet Tubman was literally saving her family and others from slavery.
Yeah. You know who helped her? White people.
I think what's interesting about this fact check too is we all know about Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad and all this stuff. Did anybody else think that this number she rescued was like a lot higher? Like I always thought it was like hundreds of thousands of slaves she saved. So it said she rescued 60, which is still significant, but I always thought it was like high and high and high. Like it's not as high as I thought it was going to be.
You know who helped her?
They were on the Underground Railroad.
No,
Come on in.
no.
Come
You
on
know
in.
who helped her?
Come on in.
No, you know who helped her?
God and Harriet.
People who benefit from white supremacy. One of the things
It's a
that
lie. White supremacy is a lie.
No, sir,
It's
that's
a
simply
lie.
not
There's
true.
no such. I mean,
If that were not the case, then we wouldn't see the continued effort of colonialism and white people placing themselves in positions of power when they do not have the power.
Because their
hear
culture, black culture is toxic. The black culture is toxic. We have produced a culture that is toxic. And let's get on the fact that there's no fathers
So
in
white
the black
culture is-
home. Let's talk about that.
Stop.
Let's talk about that.
Stop.
Let's talk about that.
None of this is gonna work if y'all are just gonna sit here and make up shit.
We're having
it's
a
not
debate.
gonna work. No, a debate has to be in facts.
You're
You are
putting off
literally
emotional
not,
liberalism
I am
right
not
now.
putting off emotional liberalism. You're putting off unfounded lies
That's what y'all
based
do. Y'all
in
start saying
conservatism.
misinformation. Remember they
It
did the
is
misinformation thing all summer where everything
Look at
conservatives
this man.
did. They said
You're carrying a chain around your neck of an apartheid nation that actively wants to harm black people and
What about the
non-Jewish
apartheid?
people.
What
But
about
let
when-
me bring it
what
back.
about when
Let
black
me bring
people
it
were
back.
selling black people
Let me
in
bring
Africa
it. That was not
and
happening
put
in the
them
context that
cages,
you're saying.
And they were selling
Let's
their
bring
own
it
people.
back.
Black people still sell
Okay.
their own people today too. By
I don't
the
know
way,
if I'm gonna last.
We're selling our own
I
people
can't-
today
I don't know
too.
if I'm gonna
You probably
last.
won't last with me.
I won't because your ignorance is so
See,
overwhelming.
y'all, that's liberals. Y'all start name calling when y'all getting
it's
defeated
not
in an
name
argument.
calling. You won't have an argument because you keep cutting me off.
Oh, well, that's fine. If they don't let me come
You
back
won't
up,
even.
I made my
you won't.
point.
You didn't make your
I made
point.
my point.
You haven't
And
made
I'm
your
okay
point.
with being
And let me
voted
just
out.
tell you about your point. You started off saying we believe in hard work.
Yeah.
And we believe in being compensated.
Reparations is not though. Reparations is not hard work. It's stealing. It's Robin Hood.
You said you believe in hard work.
Yes.
And you believe in being compensated for hard work.
Yes.
Were slaves compensated for their work?
They weren't compensated for their work. But why should
That-
people who are sitting at home playing video games, smoking marijuana,
Are you sitting at
be
home playing a
giving
video game?
checks?
Are
But
you
no, the
sitting at
people that
home
they-
playing a video game?
The people that they wanted
Am I
reparations
sitting at home
for-
playing a video game? No.
The people
and
they
I don't
want
know
reparations
I don't
for-
know who these people are that you're talking about because the majority of the black community is not sitting at home playing video games.
The majority of the black
Where are
community
you
is
getting
doing a
that
lot of
statistic?
things.
Where are you
A lot
getting
of
that
things is not
statistic?
right.
Pause. You've been voted out by the majority. Please return to your seat.
I knew I was going to be surrounded by ignorance, but damn, let's go.
I will say, like, his point was that reparations is just a handout. It's no different than welfare, food stamps, anything like that. It's a handout.
Hello. My hand's wet from the water.
My hands are sweaty because
Okay.
I'm nervous. We both got sweaty
Got it.
hands. Okay. So I just wanted clarity because I think it'd be helpful. You said radical. I wanted just clarity on that. And then also with the reparations, you said it's not just money, it's other things. I just want to know, like, what do you see as like the grand picture of what would help?
The grand picture of what would help.
Of
what?
reparations, like what does that look like to you?
Oh, great. Reparations, what reparations looks like to me is a combination of reparations and remunerations. And reparations are about repair for damages that have been caused based on harm. Remunerations is a monetary response to work that has not been paid for. So if you come and paint my house and I don't pay you, you can take me to court and get remunerations for the work that you have done. So we're actually owed both in this nation as Black people. And there are incredibly just clear-cut records that show the buying and selling and purchasing of slaves, the work that was done, also the intellectual property that was stolen from slaves, right? Because there was so much inventing that was happening. And there is also quite a bit of other reparations that are being discussed as it relates to property being stolen, as it relates to, again, redlining and the inability for Black people to get loans, et cetera. And these impediments being solely based on their race.
As far as like discrimination.
Yes, like they're being solely based on their race, that not being about anything other than you're black, so you can't, right? And so when it's very clear cut like that, there are very distinctive responses to that can be done through a cash payment, as well as through measures that are being done to create funds for creating resources and responses like housing, like access to food, access to education, et cetera, that certain communities have not had access to because of the fallout from these things.
But every community in this whole country has access to education. We have the public school system. Now, it's not the best school system. I'm not going to defend that, but they have access to it. And what a lot of, like, especially red states are doing school choice, where the funds, instead of going to the school, goes to ties to like the student. And then the parents can choose what school the student wants to go to. Blue states don't want to do that. So Westmore doesn't want to do that in Maryland. And that could help black people. Black people could be like, you know what, this crappy school in Baltimore City, I don't want to send them there. I want to send them here instead. You know, they could do that. And they could go to a better school. Another thing I think that would help the school system too is the teachers unions suck. So what happens, I'm sure a lot of you have been to public school just like I did. There are so many teachers, once they're like locked into the union, because like once you're in the union, it's really hard to get fired. Like you have to really mess up to get fired as a teacher. And these teachers don't do anything. I had a computer class one time for like AutoCAD, like just like building, drawing and stuff like that on the computer. And the teacher passed around a flash drive that had Halo on it and got everyone to play Halo instead of teaching us. And that's what we did for like the whole semester. You know, I had other teachers that like let students sleep in class, or they wouldn't get on kids about their work. And it's just like, they didn't care, you know, and I understand being a teacher is a hard job, but you can't like students can't thrive without teachers. And obviously you need parents in the home too. And there's other factors and everything, but black people have access to schools. They have access to the same things that white people and Asians and Hispanics all have in this country too.
I just had a quick question for clarifying. With the funds, I'm wondering, where do you think those should come from? Like the actual money, like is that we're raising money? Is it taxes? Like what does that look like?
Well, I think what they've been doing with these different reparations committees is they're looking at, all right, well, how much has this city or how much has this town or how much has this country gained from the estimated amount that was stolen from these people, right? So they're looking at like, what is this wage amount? For instance, like if you look at during that time, okay, what was the wage amount that a hired worker would get for this same work? All right. And so we're looking at how was that wage not provided and what is that pool that is being created? And then we're looking at, all right, where can that wage come from in terms of how has that wage been applied? So there are spaces where this is very clear. I think the last thing that you asked about was the difference between liberal and radical.
Yeah, please.
Ultimately, the concept of liberalism is really just not Republican, right? I mean, that's essentially what it's become.
I
It's
would
like,
disagree with that, but I understand that's your stance.
there's a very generic concept of what liberalism is, in the sense that it's simply saying that I am a part of the bipartisan mind frame, but I am not a Republican. It's a mindset. It doesn't always show up in action, but it's a mindset that says, you know, I don't support extremes in certain ways, or, you know, I want the government to show up in certain ways. You know, I know there's a conservative point of view that says there should be less government, but even though it just says that, the action is very different. The radical mind state simply is living opposite to our colonizers, which is an imperialist, capitalist mind state, and radical blacks do not believe that that is any way for us to have liberation.
Thank you for explaining.
So just opposite of what our whole country's always done, I guess. But I wish she like went into detail what that actually meant. That was very vague. Oh, just opposite of imperialism, opposite capitalism. Okay, so then what? This is like the liberal mindset where they're like, oh, we're going to be anti-Trump, and everything they do is just opposes Trump, but they don't actually propose like better views or anything like that. They're just like, oh, we need to be opposite of Trump. That's what that sounded like right there. So I'm going to break this into a few parts because this seems like a lot. I don't want to do like a 3-hour video on this reaction. So this is part 1. I hope you guys liked it, enjoyed it. Leave a comment what you guys think about this whole Jubilee video. I'm going to come out with a couple other parts later on, either today or later on this week. So be on the lookout for those. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment down below. Catch you next time.